Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS MLB Friday. We got 15 games on the board. The live show starts at 3:45 p.m. NHL first, then NBA playoffs, then MLB. So MLB probably starts around 4:15, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through every single game, make our final decisions. In this video, I'm doing Mets Tampa. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, we got the Mets starting a series here down in Tampa. The Rays are minus 135 favorites, total sitting at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, it looks like the Rays have the edge in the first 5 innings, 2.89 to 2.04. As far as the full game, it's dead even, 4.53 to 4.41. Starting pitching matchup in this one, we got Quintana on the mound for the Mets, Aaron Civale for Tampa, and we'll start with the matchup for Quintana against the Rays bats. Very brief sample size here. The current Rays lineup have just 19 career plate appearances against Quintana, but they've murdered him. They're batting 500 for him collectively with an 1193 OPS. Just 19 plate appearances, though, extremely small sample size. His 2 appearances against Tampa were all the way back in 2021. They were both terrible, but again, we're talking 3 years ago. Combined for 5 2/3 innings pitched, 10 hits, 2 home runs, and 7 earned runs. As far as Quintana's numbers on the season this year, he's got a 3.48 ERA. So that should suggest that Quintana's been really good, but there's some underlying numbers that suggest that regression is on the way in a major way. He's got a 134 whip, which isn't terrible, but a 43.4% hard hit rate. His expected ERA is at 6, 4.51 expected FIP. All these numbers point to regression probably on the way for Quintana. And we're getting Jose Quintana coming off what was probably the best start of the season for him. 8 innings pitched, just 3 hits and 1 earned run against the Cardinals. That was at home at Citi Field. But this one's on the road, and he's been significantly worse on the road this year. I mean, ERA at home, 2.04. It's up at 5.06 on the road. WOBA way up. Home runs per 9 more than doubled. Whip way up. FIP way up. Everything is way worse on the road. And that's just this season. But this has been a thing for Quintana going back multiple years now. You can see going all the way back to 2020. ERA up from 280 to 491, WOBA up, whip up. So there's plenty of evidence here to suggest that Jose Quintana is much more reliable at home than on the road. I do have some good news for Quintana, though. This is the 2024 Rays lineup, not the 2022 or the 2023 Rays lineup. The previous 2 years, the Rays were 4th in WRC+, 10th in on-base percentage against left-handed pitching. One of the most dynamic lineups against lefties over the last 2 years. They've taken a massive step back this year. Overall, they're 23rd, 30th, and 21st against lefties this year. And at home, 16th, 24th, and 21st. So this is not the same lineup that lefties were scared to pitch against in the past 2 years. The last 4 lefty starters to pitch against the Rays, 23 1/3 innings pitched, just an 0.77 ERA and an 0.99 whip. So lefty starters have been a nightmare for Tampa recently. So that might lead you to believe that Quintana throws a good game here, but I'm not so sure about that because, yeah, the Rays have some terrible looking numbers against lefty starters recently, but if you look at those names, Tariq Skubal, Nestor Cortez at home, where he's always much better, Reed Detmers, who's been lights out this year, and, I mean, Patrick Sandoval's in there, but that dude always pitches well on the road at Tampa. We're getting the Rays bats coming home from a miserable road trip with a day off, a nice little refresher spot for that lineup, and they might even be debuting their top prospect, Junior Caminero. He's a known lefty killer. If he's in the lineup, this might be the perfect spot for him to debut in the MLB with a splash. I know nobody in the world wants to put their money on the Rays bats right now, and they haven't seen a lefty starter in a while, but I think this is a prime spot that we see some regression from Quintana, and I actually think the Rays are going to put runs up in this game. The other matchup is Civale against the Mets lineup. Through the first 4 starts of the year, Civale was absolutely cruising. Through 4 starts, he had a 2.74 ERA, a whip down at 0.91, a 3.03 expected FIP, looking like he was going to have an all-star caliber season. His last 2 starts have been a little bit of a disaster, though. ERA up an 11, a 2.33 whip. 4.42 expected FIP indicates he's had a little bit of bad luck, but definitely 2 rough starts in a row for Civale. The thing is, I think people may be overreacting a little to those last 2 starts. They bring his season numbers all the way up at 5.06 as far as the ERA, 1.31 whip. kind of erases how good he looked in the first 4 starts. I mean, he's got a 3.22 expected ERA and a 3.42 expected FIP. Those are great numbers. And he's got a 16.7% home run per fly ball rate, meaning he's had some really bad luck here. And he's pitching against a Mets lineup that seems to have just forgotten how to hit right-handed pitching. The last 10 righty starters to pitch against the Mets, 56 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.43 ERA, and a 1.06 whip. Righty starters have given the Mets lineup problems for a couple of weeks now. They're really struggling to get to him. During that span, the Mets are 19th in WRC+, 20th in OPS, and 21st in on-base percentage versus righties. This Mets lineup was hitting right-handed pitching 2-3 weeks ago. They really haven't been recently. And check out the Mets numbers against Civale's pitch mix from righties so far this year. No power, 29th in isolated power, 28th in hard hit percentage, 25th in barrel rate. So Civale, a guy with a terrible home run to fly ball rate, meaning the ball's getting hit in the air and it's leaving the park a lot, this Mets lineup might be exactly what he needs to see, a team that can't get the ball over the fence. So before we even take a look at the bullpens, I got to say I like the Rays in the first 5. I like the matchup for Civale. I think Tampa definitely has the edge here in the first half of the game. So I'll be looking Tampa first 5. Now, when we get to the bullpens, this is where the advantage definitely goes to the Mets. Mets bullpen has been excellent this year, top 5, maybe even a top 3 bullpen. They're 5th in expected FIP on the season. Tampa's been the exact opposite. One of the worst bullpens in baseball so far this year. The Mets bullpen is absolutely gassed right now. They used 5 different relievers yesterday, including Edwin Diaz for 2 innings. Meanwhile, Reed Foley, Ottavino, and Lopez would all be pitching in their 3rd game in 4 days if they're used in this one. So I know the Mets bullpen has been much better than Tampa, but Tampa's bullpen is way better rested here. I like the spot for the Rays across the board. So I like, Prop Beaver likes the Rays in the first 5, and I agree. I also like the Rays in the full game, so I'm on Tampa in this one. Like I said earlier, live show, 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go NHL first, then NBA, then MLB. Prop Beaver, Toast, Crispy Cap, and they'll all be there. Same folks as always. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets or top bets from anyone from the staff here, head over to KyleKirms.com. They're posted right there on the website, along with a link to the Discord if you're interested. Let's have ourselves a great Friday night. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.